The rain, unfortunately, far from over. We're talking additional several inches of rainfall on top of what we've already received. So some flooding concerns, that's in the forecast, but really just going to be a soggy pattern ahead. Significant amounts of rainfall, like I just mentioned, several inches could be in the pattern. And as we look at the forecast ahead, where rain chances are not ideal is into those Memorial Day weekend plans. How you need to plan out that weekend, we'll look at county by county coming up in just a moment. But tonight, it just continues to see those scattered chances stick around. We're 30% coverage by 10. Overnight, expecting the rumbles to come down, leaving us with just those pop-up showers and even coverage decreasing about 20% by 4 a.m. Getting into our Thursday, rain chances return, starting scattered, becoming more widespread as the day goes on, and especially when we get that daytime heating. You know, we're in that summer-like pattern, so that'll allow these storms to bubble up and give us some pretty significant downpours during those afternoon plans. Tonight in Batesville, 72 degrees, and you're getting a look at that saturated forecast with the clouds right there in the sky. Fortunately, not seeing much in the form of lightning. Overall, we're going to be dropping below those limits. And, you know, if you were like my family and you woke up about 3 a.m. to the house shaking from the rumbles, well, not going to be having to deal with that tonight. So if you have a newborn, a much better forecast. 72 degrees though, Batesville, still a mild and muggy evening across Magnolia State. Pontotoc coming in with those clouds as well, but overall coverage of rainfall diminishing as we speak. These chances dissipating out and leaving us with more isolated chances overnight. Out towards the east, towards Alabama, and up there towards Tennessee, they're still getting some pretty significant storms, but overall below severe limits, as we expect to remain the case through the remainder of this week. 71 degrees in Macon, getting a little bit of that light rainfall down there in Knoxville County as well, but really it's just going to be the hit or miss showers. So a large part of that starting to clear up over the last several hours. Looking from our 6 o'clock broadcast, you can see how this has come down in intensity and has come down in coverage as well. Where we got some of those more significant outputs of rainfall is right here towards Oxford. Look at how these just basically trained right over downtown Oxford. Got real heavy for about an hour there, and that's where we got 3 inches of rainfall in total. Now that could be a little bit of that did come in earlier on there on Mama Justice Stop the Radar, but that's where the significant amounts moved in. Right there towards Oxford, about 8:30, even into that 9 o'clock hour, now starting to clear on out. Now, as we expand things out, you can see that some heavier sections are starting to, actually bring it onto that now, some heavier sections down there towards Louisville, south of Highway 82, south of Eupora and Starkville, Oxford. We mentioned you a moment ago, New Albany getting a few more of those showers as well. Put this on a loop, and we're going to give you guys a track on this here in just a moment. But over the last hour or so, still seeing some of those pretty heavy downpours move through the area, but even those coming down in intensity. Total strikes at 0, has been at 0 for a large part of this. So heavy rainfall continues to be the story. Rainfall rates, if we had a few of those have come down as well, about 1.5 inches an hour on that batch that we were looking at just a moment ago. Down there towards, let me try to get that number, about 1 inch there as those storms move through Choctaw, Winston, and Oktibbeha County. And storms might be a loose term we use there. Overall, we're expecting those rumbles to remain very minimal. Stationary front drives that pattern. Tonight is just North Mississippi, but the entire southeast, so Alabama, Tennessee, even up there towards Georgia, North Carolina, South Carolina, and that front really expanding up there towards the north and east as well. One thing I do want to make note of is out there towards Texas, they actually do have a severe thunderstorm watch earlier on this evening, so still some stronger storms possible out west. Here in North Mississippi, not the case. And that's what I want you to take from this. The fact that we're not seeing severe weather with this setup, just some much needed rainfall here in the Magnolia State. And getting into our Thursday, once that new drought monitor comes out, excited to see where things stand. Unfortunately, not going to get today's rainfall or yesterday's rainfall because it goes every Tuesday, and then it's, of course, output on Thursday. So heading into next week, we'll get to see the benefits of all this rainfall in that drought monitor. So looking at our... There's a truck outside playing music, and I can hear it in here clearly. Wow, I thought it was music playing in here. Okay, so if you hear music behind the scenes, I apologize. So looking at our Thursday morning, you can see where those showers do stick around. Golly, those showers do stick around. Mid-morning, still scattered in fashion. As we get up there towards the noontime hour of our Thursday, this is where activity does increase in coverage and increase in intensity. So you can see the early part of the day, we're just getting those showers. By the latter part of the day, the rumbles of thunder start to move in and coverage increasing as well. You look at 3 p.m. we're 50% coverage, but by 9, we're increasing to 70% coverage as that front allows more of those chances. Looking ahead to that Memorial Day weekend, because I know a lot of you have plans, how those plans will shape up. Well, we'll have to look county by county at that coming up in just a moment. That's going to be coming up in 60 seconds as Mississippi Live Weather at 9 continues.
Room to Room's Memorial Day sale is here. No tax, 36-month special financing, and don't miss our red hot doorbusters. Bedroom sets starting at $9.99, sofas starting at $6.99. Hurry in, the sale won't last long, only at Room to Room Tupelo.
As a bankruptcy firm, Mitchell, Cunningham & Bowling realizes many people are worried about their finances. We're here to guide you through the next steps to restart your video appointments. New clients don't have to leave home to get information about becoming debt-free. Also, convenient in-office appointments are available at the low cost of $340 upfront for a Chapter 13. You can be on your way to being debt-free. Contact Mitchell, Cunningham & Bowling today or visit our website at mcdebtfree.com. We are here to help you.
Right now, from the Room to Room Weather Center, here's meteorologist Gabe Maynor.
Okay, I want to apologize to all the trucks here in Tupelo because I thought that was music coming from them. Apparently it was music from our system not turning off for the first half of our broadcast. So I apologize there. Should be fixed now. Let me know in the chat if there is still an audio issue, but that should be resolved as we speak. So apologize for that. But looking at our 7-day forecast, what we were going over at the top of the broadcast were this next several day stretch and into our Memorial Day weekend as well. You see, every single day having a rain chance there. So unfortunately, a lot of those plans will need to be taken indoors. And something we discussed earlier on was the fact that there might be some periods of dry weather. But those periods could last 10 minutes, could last an hour. It really depends on where you're at as those scattered thunderstorms really pop up, bubble up, and becomes a bit hard to forecast for specific areas. But as we see those chances are at least in the pattern for our Thursday, for our Friday, and into our Memorial Day weekend. Oxford, 68 degrees right now, an area where that saw a ton of rain. The outputs at around 3 inches, and additional chances this week will add several more inches to that total. And you can see dew points in the upper 60s. It continues to be a very saturated pattern there in Lafayette County. Looking more towards Tupelo, you can see those clouds in the sky. Very low hanging, but a large part of this forecast not going to be severe. Actually, the entire part of it not going to be severe, and definitely not expecting any tornadic weather. So if you see any of these low clouds, do not be concerned. If anything, they're an SLC, and that's all that we call a scary looking cloud. That's all it'll be. And thank you to the folks there at Mitchell, Cunningham & Bowling for sponsoring this look out of our Tupelo camera. Always a great sight looking there in Lee County. Columbus, cars continue to be busy on those roadways. Make sure to drive safe because those roads continue to be puddled with water as they've got some heavy downpours down there in Lowndes County as well. 72 degrees, so even that mild tonight. As we look at our rainfall totals, I did put the last 2 days because out there in Arkansas, it was about a little over 24 hours ago, but looking at just the last 24 hours, look at these totals. Let's just go ahead and go at the heavier sections across the area. So as we can see right here, I'm going to get our query tool, and you can see just there in Montgomery County, 3.9 inches. I see this spot out there in Greenwood, and that is 4.9 inches. Now, when we were it said 5 inches yesterday over a 7-day stretch, we got that for some spots in 24 hours. So additional chances moving in, and we could be talking well in excess of 5 inches. 4 inches up there north of Holly Springs. Even out here in Tupelo, getting some heavy downpours, 2.1 inches. Louisville, 2.5. Eupora, 3.4. So lots of rain. It's been a soggy pattern. And forecasted rainfall over this next 7-day stretch, we're seeing 4 to potentially 5 inches in addition received. And I told Matt earlier, I'm leaving the rain gauge outside over this 7-day stretch and going to see what that ends up amounting to. Could very well break the rain gauge and go above what even my rain gauge can take. So we'll see what that amounts to, and I'll keep you guys posted, but definitely a soggy pattern ahead. Operator cycles in, you can see the heavier downpours towards Union, Benton, Tippah, Marshall, partial, even over there in northeast Lafayette County. That will continue to taper on out, but some heavy downpours earlier on in Oxford was a part of this same system, but that again starting to dissipate out. Down towards Winston, Oktibbeha, and Choctaw County continue to see some heavy downpours, but that's really all they are. I know you see those strikes there at the top left, but a large part of that action is actually out there towards Birmingham. Take out these storms, 2 strikes. So not exactly an energetic environment. And that's the difference tonight as we go about to what we got last night. Last night, the walls of my house shook at 3 a.m. due to some of those thunderstorms moving on in. But tonight, a large part of that thunder clearing on out by 11 o'clock, and even by midnight, we should just be dealing with those light to moderate showers. We see 30% coverage by 2, same thing there by 5, so your Thursday morning commute. Going to need that umbrella once again. Our stationary front just does exactly that. Remains stationary right overhead here in North Mississippi, keeping those light to moderate showers around. And while a rumble of thunder is not impossible, overall we're not going to see that thunderstorm activity like we saw last night. Just going to be that rainfall that we're watching into the start of our Thursday. We're 66 Greenwood and Cleveland, 63 Senatobia and New Albany, 64 Tupelo and Houston, even 66 towards the Golden Triangle. So a pretty mild pattern. That's going to be mild for our school bus forecast. Pickup 66 degrees, 82 towards that drop-off temperature. You can see coverage increasing in rain chances 30% by pickup, 50% by drop-off. So if you have any plans or any of those final school days that you need to take advantage of, we'll grab the rain gear once again. So on Futurecast, something that we do here at 9 o'clock is that latest model run comes out. So we look at this together and see the differences from what we looked at 5 and 6 this evening. So what I'm seeing right away is actually some similarities in the fact that we're dealing with some of that scattered coverage, but watch as we get towards the afternoon how these storms just explode. Basically take advantage of that energy and really ramp up in coverage, and we start to see those bubble up more towards Water Valley, Bruce, Houston, even closer to the Fulton and Tupelo area, and those will continue to work their way towards the north, but just very scattered development. So some areas we'll be talking 2, 3 inches, other areas maybe a couple tenths. It just depends on where you're at and how these storms do line up. But with the afternoon heating, that's where these storms will really increase in coverage, and the likelihood of you getting some storms will be a little bit higher as well. Now, high temperatures remain in the mid-80s for Houston and Amory, 81 Oxford and Holly Springs, even towards Corinth and Boonville, 84 Kosciuszko, 84 Belzona, even towards Macon and Knoxville County. But look overnight. So you have this stationary front beginning to lift towards the north, and that's going to allow that warmer air to move into North Mississippi as well. The coverage increases 10, 11, 12 o'clock on your Thursday night, fall for it every time. And even with that, some rumbles of thunder going to be included there as we do get some of those darker reds. But the coverage is what I'm watching as those light to moderate showers continue to stick around even towards the pre-dawn hours of our Friday. And a few of those storms by 6 a.m. you can definitely see packing a punch towards Greenville and Cleveland, right along Highway 61, Chula, Kosciuszko coming in with a few as well. So our meteorologist Caleb Bettelblut filling in for our meteorologist Maggie McCauley through this week. We'll be tracking out those showers and storms early on your Friday morning. We're 65 Houston and Tupelo, 67 Starkville and Columbus for the start of your Friday, 68 Cleveland, Clarksdale, Greenwood, 69 Belzona and Greenville. So still overall a pretty mild pattern for this time of year. As the morning continues on, there's that red that's showing up, and that red more indicative of heavy rainfall, but I think we do mix in some of those lightning strikes with those chances. And back there towards Chula, additional development as we get towards that mid-morning time frame. Why we've upped those rain chances compared to Thursday and Friday? It's because of the coverage. So we're sitting at 50% Thursday, and we're going to be about 60% there on Friday. And it's due to just the sheer coverage that we have towards those morning hours, increasing there by the afternoon and even packing a punch. That one right there towards just northwest of Fulton, moving more towards the Mantachie area. That stands out to me as maybe a stronger storm, but not going to be severe, but maybe some small hail included there, but definitely a heavy downpour, all things considered. Those chances move more towards the north and east, and we're still seeing some scattered development, but overall coverage is going to be a little bit less than what we were looking at for the early morning hours of our Friday. Hopefully that is the case, because I know that we have an action-packed slate Friday evening here in the North Mississippi area. So any plans that you may have, we're hoping that we'll get some breaks and those will be good to go. 79 Boonville and Iuka for those temperatures. So a positive in the grand scheme of things is the fact that this rain is cooling us off, making it feel much better than the 90s that we had earlier on this week. But let's take it day by day. We're using our long track model that goes beyond just the next 48 hours, actually on through the next 7 days. And as you can see, some of those totals are already surpassing 1 to 2 inches just into our Thursday. Friday, getting up to 3 inches in some spots. Saturday, a little bit less in coverage, but still dealing with a few pop-up showers. Sunday, more of that significant rainfall as we're up to 5 inches up to about Sunday around 10 p.m. And as we get closer to our Monday, towards our Tuesday, those totals just become jaw-dropping. 6 inches Greenwood and Grenada, and 6 inches even showing up out there towards the Cleveland and Clarksdale area, Vernon, Hamilton, Alabama. So folks, it's going to be a soggy pattern beyond just what we're tracking today. That includes your Memorial Day weekend, seeing those rain chances there indicated by those icons. Saturday, though, remaining at 83 degrees, 81 Sunday, and 81 on that Memorial Day. So we're, of course, taking time to remember the ones that we have lost and the ones that have served for us, and appreciate everyone of those men and women who have sacrificed for us to have the freedom here in the United States. But definitely grateful for everybody, definitely grateful for the service, and we're always remembering you guys, but especially on Memorial Day weekend. So that forecast shaping up rainy, but a little bit cooler, so I guess there's some give and take in the grand scheme of things. But like we were talking about with that 7-day forecast, we're 50% Thursday, but 60% there on Friday due to those increased morning chances. Saturday, more isolated and scattered, and then Sunday, those rain chances increasing once again. Now, Memorial Day coming in with about 40%, but I will say there's a little bit of some flexibility getting into early next week because confidence is still flip-flopping due to both of our long track models. There is rainfall, don't get me wrong, but how much rainfall depends on which model you look at. So as we're looking at things right now, we're confident that we're going to get rainfall, but how that lines up and how those rainfall totals pan out is something we're continuing to look in more detail for by Monday and Tuesday, still sticking around by Wednesday, but hopefully those rain chances giving us a bit of a break as we wrap up this 7-day stretch, and then we're getting closer to June. June was where I was getting some of those drier conditions, but June is still over 10 days away. So we're still a good chunk of a ways away before we get those dry conditions back. Welcome to summer in Mississippi. So I want to bring up the chat real quick. Don't want to leave out any of your guys' questions. So I appreciate all of the support. I do see that a few people were talking about the music earlier on. Apologize for that. Music was good. Hey, we'll take that for sure. That's one thing about the 24-hour channel. You can leave it on and get to hear the music behind the scenes while looking at the weather. So it's not a bad listen if you're looking to just maybe get some studying done or some of that work behind the scenes. So appreciate that. And yeah, just appreciate all you guys' support. If you do have any questions, I do want to say, put that in the chat. And whether we answer it at the 9 o'clock hour or at the 10 o'clock hour, we'll be more than happy to discuss that in more detail. But 10 o'clock is kind of that time where we get to pull up the chat and talk directly to you and answer any questions you may have and bring you some reassurance. But I do want to say, before we wrap up the 9 o'clock show, that this is going to be non-severe. It's going to be heavy rainfall. Potential for flash flooding is there, but if we're talking severe weather, not going to be with this setup. Rumbles are possible, but again, no severe weather, no tornadoes. I know a lot of folks ask that question. Don't need to worry about any of that tonight, so go to bed. Going to be a good night to get some sleep because the rumbles of thunder are going to be minimal. And we're just going to get that heavy rainfall there on the roof, just that pitter-patter, going to be so comfortable to sleep in. So good sleeping weather, in my opinion, and giving us exactly what we need to hopefully alleviate some of that drought. So make sure that... country music is always good. Bam, you're exactly right. And we do have some of that country music there on the channel. Kind of give a little bit of a taste of everything, right? So as we wrap up our 9 o'clock, like I said, make sure to tune in at 10 o'clock for the latest details on those rain chances. And I promise you the music will be out of the forecast coming up at 10. But like, subscribe, download, and you will be able to stay up to date with the latest on that forecast. We appreciate all of those that have supported so far. And just encourage you, if you want to stay safe or stay dry, I've gotten several notifications on my phone saying, hey, rain's detected close by. I'm not going to go out there when it's raining. So if you download that app, you'll be able to know when that rain's headed your way as well. Our next broadcast at 10 o'clock tonight. Hope to see you guys there. But if not, make sure to tune into our morning show with our meteorologist, Caleb Edelblut. He's doing a great job tracking out those showers bright and early as we go about those morning plans. He'll be doing the same thing for Thursday right here from the Room to Room Weather Center. So keep it here for the very latest, and we'll see you at 10 o'clock or by the morning.